I'm Rachel, and you guys are going to get to meet Sean and Sunee Caldwell today. They cannot get enough children, and you're going to enjoy hearing their story. I'm Rachel Hubbard, Director of Second Chance Ranch, and I'm getting to do the interviewing today. And I have two of my absolute favorite humans on the planet whom I want to be like when I grow up, Sean and Sunee Caldwell. Just some of the sweetest, most precious people you'll ever meet. They're the first ones to offer to help with anything that needs to be done. And I've never seen them sit still for a second since I've met them. So welcome to the show, you guys.
Yes,
thank you.
Happy to be here.
We are so excited to have you, and your outfits are cute. You match. I mean, they are seriously the most darling people. So tell us a little bit about you guys as a couple and kind of what your life was like before foster care.
So we met around 11 years ago. We've been together for 10 years, almost married for 10 years. And so I had always wanted kids. And I had a pretty substantial history with fostering, not living with my parents. My grandfather got involved. He raised me pretty much by himself. And through a church, we had gone to Texarkana Orphanage when I was little. And so from a young age, it was always a dream of mine. So when we got together, I talked to him about it, and he was like, I couldn't do that. Yeah. That's not something I can do. And so,
Look at me now.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, we'll have our own family, and we had our first son, Oliver. But I kept kind of on him about it. I was like, this is something I want to do. And, we struggled having any more children after that. And finally we were in the car, and he said, so this thing you want to do, we talked about it some more, and I signed us up right away. I was like, I'm not going to let him think about it again. So we signed up straight through DHS.
The moment that he mentioned it, you're like, foot on the gas pedal.
We were in the car. We were literally in the car, and I pulled my computer out while we were in the car, and I put in the form right away.
Was that a marriage lesson for you, Sean? Don't mention it to her until you're really ready.
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago.
Yeah. So you guys just jumped in with the state and started fostering. So how long ago was that, Sean?
So we started, before we came to the ranch, we'd been fostering almost 3 years.
Okay.
And
through the state,
Yeah, through DHS, And, I'd like to say that we didn't have as much support when we were going just through the state. I feel like they're kind of just, they're trusting you and the training they give you to kind of just carry you through.
And for people that don't know, so in Arkansas, you can choose to become a foster parent directly through the state of Arkansas, or you can partner with a private agency to get your license and become a foster parent. And so you guys at first went directly through the state, and it's actually the same system, same kids, same rules, same licensing standards, same training, all of that. But one, you're going through a faith-based private organization, or you're opening through the state of Arkansas. And we know that the state is overwhelmed with caseloads and responsibility. And here's the thing is the Bible is pretty clear about whose responsibility it is to care for orphans, and it does not say the government. The government is not supposed to be raising children. So we should expect that when we're accessing that system, we're going to run into some problems, right? Yeah. And so you guys for a long time did that and eventually made the switch to Second Chance Ranch. What made you decide to switch over?
So we, like he said, we had a lot of problems, and we kind of came to a point we were like, we have to take a break, because we didn't know anybody that did foster care. Yeah. We didn't have a support group. We didn't have, anything. We relied a lot on our own family to help us when we needed help. We had questions, we didn't know how to advocate for these kids.
Yeah.
And that was really hard.
It's a very foreign system to figure out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And we both decided, that we needed to just take a break and kind of regather.
Yeah.
And it was actually when I went to a church get-together with a friend of mine. She invited me to the sisterhood thing at her church. And I just felt this strong presence. God was there, and a lot of what they were talking about, I was just like, I know this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. This is what He is leading us to do. But I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know how to do it with help. And it was actually on the way home from that, and I was in tears. I was crying. I called him and I was like, I have to talk to you, but I can't right now. And I called a lady that helped us because we had a sibling group through DHS together. Her name's Libby Morris. I called her because I was like, what do I do? And she told me about Second Chance Youth Ranch. And she said, it's completely different. It's a different world.
Yeah.
And God's with you through it. And God's people are with you through it.
Because you guys, when you were fostering through the state, like, your heart didn't change. Like, you loved serving these kids. You wanted to have a big family. You wanted to be used by the Lord and do that. But it sounds like you were in a situation to where you were doing that very independently, like very much on your own. And again, we're not saying that DHS is bad or does a bad job, but they weren't created to raise children.
Right.
And that's a government agency. You can't expect to form personal connections as mandated through a government agency. Like, nobody says, oh, I want to make friends. Maybe the state can help me with that, right?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of, you were on your own at that point, right? And what was hard about that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, lack of communication because, like the ranch is really good about, y'all have this whole staff that supports us. So it's like, if we can't get a hold of a case manager, y'all have got the connections to kind of, reach out around or whatever. But, it'd be like you call the social worker because you haven't gotten your clothing vouchers and your kids are all, wading through high waters where it looks like they're ready for. And you're just like, I don't have the budget to buy all these kids clothes, and the social worker's not answering, and you essentially are just kind of, I know they're overwhelmed. It's not like malice or anything like that. It's just, it's a world of difference.
Yeah, yeah. And they're doing so much that's like, when you can't get a hold of them, what do you do?
Right.
And we're able to say, well, here, we'll write a check and buy those clothes, or here, I know this other person in the office at DHS that we can call, or we can advocate and push through some of that red tape for you. So that's definitely a benefit. And also, I feel like that you guys are really wanted to be connected to other foster families.
Right.
Yes.
And again, the state is not equipped to facilitate relationships, but you guys have really gotten close to a lot of the other foster parents in our network because we spend time together. We're in the trenches together. So we're going to come back in just a second and talk a little bit more about what is special to you guys about fostering through Second Chance.
Okay.
Hi there. I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about Arkansas Christian Academy. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Our name is Arkansas Christian Academy, but most of us just say ACA around here. Our mascot is this guy. Go Knights! Founded in 2001, ACA has grown from only a few classes to having classes in pre-K all the way through 12th grade. As far as class sizes go, we were smaller on average across the board, and we use this to challenge our students academically and individually on a personal level, learning through the lens of God's Word in every subject and growing a personal relationship with Him through our amazing staff and in our daily chapel classes. For a full breakdown, check out our website at archristian.org, and feel free to explore other aspects of our school while you're there. Now, let's go outside. Our still growing campus sits right off I-30 and is protected by gates and doors with magnetic locks, only accessible by faculty and staff. We also have these guys here every day. But seriously though, safety is a priority here at ACA, as we want to ensure not only a quality education, but an environment where learning can flourish without fear or other outside distractions. Now, let's move on to the fun stuff. Here's a shot of our football field, a playground, some kids, another playground, our main gym, a football field again, and this is our brand new middle school. What else?
What about extracurricular activities?
That's right, here at ACA, we offer all different kinds of sports, but that's just the beginning. We have a broadcasting class, spoiler alert, it's really cool, a music and worship program, theater, and a thriving art program complete with a very active yearbook committee.
Wow.
There you have it. Schedule a tour today and find out what all the buzz is about at Arkansas Christian Academy.
Hey, so we're here with Sean and Sunee Caldwell. They are actually campus parents for Second Chance. And campus parenting is a little bit different. We were just talking about how previously they fostered through the state, and then they took the step to foster through Second Chance as a private agency, but they were doing that in their own home. And then they decided, we want to move into one of y'all's houses and focus on fostering full time. And so our campus homes are reserved for people who want to foster a large sibling group or a couple of sibling groups and want to really not have to do much work outside the home. They want to focus on raising kids as their life and their ministry. So when you were fostering in your own home, you had a few kids there, and you're like, you know what? We want to do more.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we were fostering through our community, the community home, and we were getting so much more support, you know. It was like, hey, I need this appointment, help with this appointment, because I was teaching. I was a full-time teacher, too. And one of the caseworkers or case managers would be like, hey, I've got you, you know. And that was part of our team that we had. If a child was having issues, then they would be like, hey, we're going to help you get this child in therapy.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have to go out and call and schedule and try to figure that out. And, you know, we kept just seeing this, there's more and more kids coming in. And Sean and I were like measuring and saying, okay, if I change this living room to a bedroom, what could I do? You know?
Where can we fit more children?
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually started trying to figure it out. I'd drawn it all up, and I was like, if we build a wall through our, because we had an old house, 2 living rooms, we were like, if we build this, we could build 2 more bedrooms.
Yeah.
And then, you know.
And then we're like, hey, we have big houses. You know, what do y'all think?
And yeah, you know, you came to me and you said that we had bigger houses, we could, you know, move in. And I was like, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
You know, and kids are my passion. And so I couldn't decide at the time. And I was having some medical stuff, and I had kids with medical things going on. And a doctor really put it in a perspective for me. And I was like, this is God. Like, He put the ranch there at a time for us that it was meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't quit my teaching job and just help kids because of my medical problems, because I had a home I had to pay for. And then for, you know, Rachel to sit down and be like, but look, we'll provide you a house. We're going to provide you a van. We're going to make sure you have groceries. We just need you to take care of these kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, it took a step of faith. You know, we had to step away from the fear of it all. And we took a step of faith, and, you know, I called Rachel and I said, okay, let's talk about this, you know.
You asked a lot of questions, too.
I asked a lot of questions, yes, you know.
Because y'all were ready, really, to be used by God as much as you possibly could be, you know. And y'all had to make the decision, do we want to focus on career, or do we want to focus on ministry? And for y'all, 1 or 2 foster children in your home was not going to be enough, because you were feeling a deeper calling than that. And so you're like, what can we do to focus on just this? And that's when you took the opportunity to actually quit your jobs, move to a campus home, and foster as many children as we'll give you. And y'all should know these people have 8 kids in their home, and they're constantly asking me for more. I'm like, so Sean, what has that change been like to leave your career and to focus 100% on just fostering as many kids as possible? What is wrong with you? Why'd you do that?
Well, you know, now that I've actually been able to quit my job because I was an electrician and I was finishing my license, now that I'm on the other side of it, I realized I was trying to live in 2 lives.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to be, you know, a good father figure, a good leader for the home, and also a full-time career person. And, like, I don't think you can do either really well. in my opinion. I can't anyway. And so
Not
now,
with this many kids.
well, yeah, I
Yeah.
think, just too much attention needs to be given. But now that I'm on the other side of it, I can sit down on the floor and play cards and have our little moments where you get to see them, and it's not just this task to benefit. I mean, it's always a calling and a serving, but it's just so much different. It's more personal, and it gives me the opportunity to really get in these kids' lives and, be that person who cares and who loves. And, you don't know when they're ever, if they're going to get that, or if they've ever had that. So that's why I do it. It gives me like it fills a hole, for me. And you get to show love and, and with the family church, we're leading them to the Lord. And, the children's ministry here is amazing. Like, our son is chomping at the bit all the time. When are we going to go back? When are we going to go back? And I'm like, you got 2 more days till Wednesday. He's like, So it's incredible.
Yeah. And I just love how you guys, and what y'all are doing is not for everybody. A lot of people, they're going to be called to foster in their own home with one child. And that is a beautiful, wonderful thing. But for you guys, it was almost like you just can't get enough, and you're just like, you saw the need. And I mean, you guys see us, like, we're like, okay, there's a 12-year-old little girl in the office who has nowhere to sleep tonight, who can say yes. And that speaks to y'all. You're like, we want to say yes every time if we can.
Yeah.
And moving to the ranch has just enabled you guys to be able to say yes more. And I think it's a beautiful thing, the way that God is using you guys. Tell me, what are your favorite things about fostering as a campus parent at Second Chance Ranch?
Yeah, well, one of my favorite things, and it's about him, it's the fact he didn't think he could do this. He didn't think, that this was something he would be capable of. He was afraid of the loss when these kids leave.
Yeah.
And I've seen kids that come into the home terrified of him, or men that over 2 months now is giggling and laughing and playing and in his lap and like getting piggyback rides around, we have a dad that calls us almost every week to just thank him mainly for what he's done in his life, and just because he helped him through, the addiction, because even though we're helping these kids,
you're helping their families
their
too.
families are being helped too, and that's a big thing about us, is we want to make connections with these families, especially when it's healthy. And we still have a connection with so many of our children, that's been through our homes. And just, seeing them light up for all the little things, Christmas morning, like, you guys blessed us so much. We could not have provided that for them on our own or in our own home. It's just the things like that, just seeing these kids be kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes they haven't had that before.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I love the way that the ranch has been able to wrap around you guys, and y'all don't have to worry as much about the providing and the logistics and all of those things. You're just playing with kids and loving on them and minister to them, and that's when we see change. So we'll be right back.
My name is Dante and I'm 14 years old. I like to play sports, basketball. I like to color. I like to play video games, board games. Any game that you put in front of me, I'll play it.
And then we can put a little product in it. What do you want? Do you want to keep the length, just maybe to kind of clean it up around your ears? And
Turn it down, turn the top down a little bit.
how long you want it?
Right here.
Okay. All right.
I have a C in science. I think that's my lowest grade right now. And I have all A's right now, so yeah, I'm not the best at science. My favorite subject is actually math. It's just like easier for me, like just numbers, and I'm really good with numbers. I want to be an NBA player, professional NBA player. I went in DHS when I was 7. Just foster home after foster home. Like, you get used to one place and then you have to move. Yeah, it's kind of hard. But I just want a family to go to and like just enjoy my life and have fun, like a regular kid. Just someone who's loved me, that accepts me who I am. Travel the world, do things, have fun, like a family. if I had one wish, I would want to go live with the family.
We're back with Sean and Sunee Caldwell, foster parents with Second Chance Ranch. You guys currently have 8 children in your home,
Yes.
and as I said earlier, would probably take more if we would let you. But you guys started out as a family of 4. You guys have 2 sons, 2 biological sons, and this is something that touches every area of their lives. Many people are afraid to foster because they wonder, well, how's it going to affect my own children? And that's a totally legitimate concern. And I get that because you're bringing some very messy trauma into your home. And a lot of things that we would be protecting our children from, we're actually welcoming into our inner circle and letting them live in, you know, and that's scary to parents. How have you guys seen that this affected your kids?
Yeah, I mean, so what you were saying before, you know, so right now my biological son, Oliver, he has an empty bed in his room because most of the rooms have 2 beds. He's begging me to get him a friend to sleep in his room because everyone else has someone else who sleeps in their room. And I'm like, buddy, we're kind of at capacity here. We're going to start falling out the windows pretty soon. And so he's like, he just sees just these kids come in. He's got permanent friends. And then especially out at the ranch campus, he can just run out on our little, you know, main street out there and just go door to door and gather this whole herd of children. And there they go, up and down the gravel road all afternoon. And, you know, in today's world, you know, when else are you just going to let your kids run out the front door?
Right, yeah.
Am I going to let my 7-year-old just book it out on Alcoa Road? Probably not, right? So it gives them an opportunity to just basically have this bigger family because everybody loves, I mean, I love family, so like you have more to love. And he's just, like I said, he's already begging us for more. And so.
And it's something, you know, he prays about. He prays for these kids. You know, we'll sit and we'll take prayer requests at our table at dinner, and he'll turn to the other kids and he'll be like, what if we pray for your family? You know, he's 7.
Yeah.
You know, and he started having kids in there at the age of 4.
Yeah.
You know, he remembers all of our kiddos. He loves them. He'll tell you he loves fostering, and he is going to be a foster dad one day, and he's going to be our neighbor. So he even, when we told him no to bringing in another kid in his room, because something too is they at the ranch, they respect our bio rooms and their privacy. So there's an opportunity for them to have their own space. But he said, but Mom, there's a kid out there that needs a home, and I have a bed right here.
Yeah.
You know, and he was like, and if you say no, then I'm talking to Miss Rachel. So
Oliver's like, I will get another child here.
And our youngest son is 2.
Yeah.
You know, he's known this his whole life. It's been surrounded by foster kids. And he loves living at the ranch. And in fact, anytime we get out, he's like, when we go into the ranch, or he notices if we don't pick up one of the kids, he's like, are they at their visit? You know, he knows, and he sees when kids are coming in, and he'll start playing with them and making them laugh if they're sad. Our family, you know, it's gotten even better since we started fostering. You know, we could have individual time with just our kids, but that's not what God wants. God wants us to teach and raise our kids to love other kids. And if we have the room to do that and the capacity to do that, then that's what we need to be doing. We need to be there for these kids and these parents.
Yeah. I think it completely shifts their worldview. I really do. I think it helps them prioritize differently. I think it helps them learn to be selfless. And like as Christian parents, our goal is always, let's raise kids that can be used by the Lord. That's what we want. But then when they're little, we want to protect them from everything and insulate them and, you know, keep any kind of hurt from touching them. And that, I get that as a parent. That's obviously my first instinct, you know. But what if instead of that, we open them up to being used by God even at the age of 2 or 7?
Absolutely.
Because there's examples of that over and over in the Bible that the Lord can use young people. And I have seen my children like calm down a temper tantrum in another child. Or, I mean, our son Bromley has led one of our foster children to the Lord to ask Jesus into their heart. He sat there and prayed that prayer as a 11-year-old little boy with another child. And that would have never happened if it weren't for foster care. And so I think that in our need to protect our kids, sometimes we're stopping them from what God already wants to use them for. And I think you guys have learned that lesson.
Yeah. And we see too our foster children jump in and love on our bio kids.
Right.
Yeah.
One of our older foster girls comforted our son yesterday because he was crying. You know, they're building these relationships. They're learning how to work with other kids. And our kids are seeing a lot of things, but we get to talk to them and we tell them what's safe. And they know at an early age when to come to us if there's something going on.
Yeah.
You know, and so, and what I love about the ranch is not only the foster kids in our home, but they get to also see the foster kiddos next door. And in a lot of cases, our kids don't know who the bios are versus who the fosters are. You know,
that happened the other day. Is they were talking to one of their girls in their house, and this girl had been living with y'all for how long?
Since the day after Christmas
Eve.
So about 2 months, basically. And she had no idea, out of the 8 children in their house, that 2 of them were their actual biological children. She just thought everybody there was fosters. And because you guys have created this environment that's like, this is home for everybody. How do y'all do that? Like, how do you help these kids know that they're yours? They're safe, they're loved, they're home. How do you communicate that?
I mean, I think it starts with, you know, treat others as you would be treated. How would you treat you as a child? That's how I always approach it. Like, if you tripped and skinned your knee at 5 years old, what would you want an adult to do?
Yeah.
And then, you know, pair that up with, it's literally just you treat them, everybody exactly the same. It's like, you know, it might not be equal, but it's all fair.
Yeah.
Right? So, so maybe you have nutritional needs, and we'll see to that. Well, maybe you have to have this medicated food. Well, we'll see to that. So maybe, yes, you're not getting all the same, but y'all are getting exactly what you need. And, you know, the individualized care is basically only possible through the ranch because I actually have the time, energy, and resources to make all that happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's just, you know, if I'm going to walk over to the couch and, you know, mess with my son's hair, I'm going to use my other hand and do the same thing to our foster daughter, you know. We don't want them to feel any different. But we also don't want our bio kids to feel any better either because they're not. We're all in this life, you know, sometimes we go through things. It could very well be one of us, you know, that needed our kids to be somewhere.
Well, you guys are a beautiful example of how God can expand your heart and use you. So if you're like me and you want to be like Sean and Sunee when you grow up, contact us. Let's talk about becoming a foster parent. Thank you, guys.